So we're back and it's time for the big one. Welcome back to the channel, guys. Thank you for tuning in. Today we are starting off in the Bugatti Veyron SS. And today, it's finally time to jump in on the big one. After we make an absolute mess of trying to drive a 2000 horsepower Chiron in the wet with slick tyres. But of course we are here to jump into Crown Jewel Jade to round out the little mini-series that we've done here for all of the Crown Jewel races. Some phenomenal cars in the lineup with us today. F50s, Chirons, Veyrons, a fantastic gallery of automotives. But as we launch it offline, like we kind of done in the last Veyron video, that we did do some slight tunes to this one. Very slight tune for the gearbox in particular here. We focused this on the final drive. We want to get this, as powerful and use the power of the Veyron as much as we can. So making those gears a little bit longer here, proving very good off the line in particular, absolutely leaving the rest of the pack, the AI in this instance, for dead. But we can power down here. We can see the phenomenal amount of speed that we do have in the Veyron, 280, 300, 320 miles per hour. So we have got a phenomenal amount of speed behind us here with the SS. We'll push forward a little bit. It's obviously not very engaging looking at those motorway runs, the freeway runs. What we will do as we get invaded by a cat here, come on, get down. Sorry guys, as we can start to get some power down here, we can actually start to focus in on the handling model of the Veyron SS. Now of course we've got stacks and stacks and stacks of power, so we don't expect to have the best handling car. The front end especially is very twitchy. It's very pointy, which is good to an extent, but it's very twitchy. And as we can see, we start to outbrake ourselves. We get overly confident and we do collect the rock face on the right hand side. So we need to start concentrating a little bit more here, understanding that we don't have the perfect balance between power and handling, not in a 2000 horsepower Veyron SS. So we have to be a little bit more careful with those under pressure turns like what we had there. We're taking in a lot of momentum. We need to start to tidy up. Now as we do come back into a little bit more of an exciting part of this circuit that we've been provided here from the game, we've got a lot of left and right switches here, and the important part with the Veyron there is collecting those curbs really unsettles the car, and it's not fantastic. So we want to try and keep it on the road in those white lines, essentially staying off the curb faces. But as we come up through this section, we're left hand into right hand into left hand. It's a good flowing part of the track here. We can really start to make use of the power, especially of the Veyron. So perhaps slowing it down a little bit more into those corners, but getting the power, the punch out of those corners. And we can see as we start to do this with the Veyron, we've got 2.5, maybe close to 3 second lead from the rest of the pack, whilst making mistakes. It is a relatively good car for this race, I would say, is the Veyron SS. Of course, it doesn't cost much to throw all of the upgrades to this, like we have done. Have stacks of power, slightly tuning that final drive so we've got longer gears and maximising the power that we do have over 2000 horsepower in the Veyron. Now as we come down through this section, you guys will have seen from the video a couple of days ago, when we were in the Chevrolet series for Chevrolet's birthday, we can actually power down this and not have to lift all too much, unlike that point right there where the back end steps out. But we can really get the power down here, get overconfident and clip the barrier on the outside. But on that little section, this whole section in particular, we can really start to get some power down through those fast flowing turns. Yes, the AI are slightly closer behind than I would like them to be, just 1.5 seconds. But we can start to really understand the handling of this car, start to get in a bit of a tune with it, know that we can float across the road here, bring it back down and get the power down along these fast straight sections. And this of course remained throughout the whole race that we did have ahead of us. Fast forwarding another 20% or so, never, it wasn't overly interesting through that little section there. But like we did say, getting a little bit overconfident, we extend that corner, we do hit maybe our second or third lamppost for the day, and we do lose first place to Marcus. They're really powering away from us, but as we see that, we try to then catch up with Marcus and we outbrake ourselves onto that right-hander, left-hander once again, outbraking ourselves, outdriving ourselves, and we go off track. But it wasn't just us, we can see one AI, two AI also taking themselves out, so we don't feel as bad. But on that note, we do have an AI right behind us, and we do have an AI pulling away that did not make a mistake like everybody else did at that part of the track. The Veyron slightly unsettled coming down that little section here. Tight left-hander, or a sharp left-hander rather, up ahead here. We do overextend, we do take out yet another lamppost. A channel favourite is me taking out lampposts. But we really have to start tidying up. 7.8 seconds to catch up with first place. We've really got to start tidying this race up in particular if we've got any chance of claiming first place in this race in particular. We do have an AI just at our tail, but I do imagine as we do start to get the power back down once again in the Veyron, the chances are we're going to drop second place and start to hopefully make a dent in that lead that first place has on us, up to 10 seconds now. We've really got to sharpen up the driving here. 68.5% the race gone, so we've got just 30% left to catch first place. It's 10 seconds. Hopefully if we can be tighter than what we were just there, we can start to catch up with first place. As we do push forward to the 90% mark of this race in particular, we come up to this next checkpoint and we can see that lead has stretched to 31%, and we made little to no mistakes for the rest of that race. First place in the Chiron there, really stretching its legs and pulling away from us. Even though we're coming through this tunnel section at over 300 miles per hour, yeah, our fate is sealed here in the Veyron. We're going to be taking second place, it does seem, without any massive blunders here. First place looks sealed at 31 seconds ahead of us with just 2% left of this race. Too many mistakes is the basic outlay from here. Too many mistakes has cost us the win. But with that being said, a forgotten gem that we had on the channel in the garage was that Porsche 918. Blindingly fast car. We know we've had previous issues with the battery pack, but that was with it detuned. But with the fully maxed out 918, sensational launch off the line, once again stretching out that final ratio, making the gears a bit longer to make more use of the power that the 918 does have. We can see straight off the back we're already leaving the AI for dead. A much better launch off the line, already pushing up to 270, 280, 200 and, well, close to 290 miles an hour. We've got so much more power, so much more usable power in the 918 should the battery pack hold up. Now of course we have to be slowing down under brakes to get that kinetic energy to recharge the battery pack. But like we can see here, the handling model, especially of the 918, is, for me, my way of driving, far more favourable than what it is with the Chiron or the Veyron SS rather. Through these sections in particular, we've got more usable power, more usable torque, which is ironic to say when we're comparing it against the Veyron. But with that hybrid assist that we do get in the 918, we can come off those corners, flick the back end round a little bit like we see here, missing the rock face this time out in the 918. Being more careful essentially through the corners, already up to 4-second lead, which we did not have with the Veyron. But we can be more careful through the corners and have the knowledge in the back of our mind that that hybrid assist is really going to punch us out of those corners and make up any time that we may have lost to compensate for those, you know, more careful corners in particular. Moving forward to the same sections we did in the Veyron race, we can have some close comparisons here. But yeah, it's still fairly twitchy front end. They are very pointy, these hypercars. We understand how they handle in this game. But with the Porsche here over the Veyron, like you can see, we never drifted wide. We didn't hit the railings, and we do manage to control the car, in my opinion, far more better, unlike we did with that corner. But I'm sure we did something similar with the Veyron. Punching out with every corner, we can see just how much power this 918 manages to put down, especially with that hybrid assist. I think it's largely slept upon the game. Yes, on the detuned versions of the car, where we cannot pick what we want to have applied, the battery pack is a bit of an issue with the 918. I would like that to be changed in the game. That's actually a good topic just to touch on. When we have to change the ranking of our car for certain races, I would like to go in and be able to tailor what part of the package we want to have applied. For the Porsche, I would most definitely want to have improvements to the battery pack and the regeneration system for it, rather than the computer, the AI picking, you know, what the package is for us to get the 918 to, let's say, 900 or 1000 RP. That's something I would like to see changed for us to be able to tailor it. Back to the race, clattering a wall. Yeah, much like the Veyron, perhaps rather, getting a bit overconfident. We come off here again like we did with the Veyron, so very much getting overconfident, coming down to the back end of that forest section, just like we did with the Veyron. So it's purely a driver skill issue rather than anything else. It's myself getting overconfident with the power and the grip that the 918 and the Veyron did have. Down through this little section again, we can slide that back end out just a little bit, of course not on purpose, but we can be more manageable with the power as we come out the corners. We can really punch this 918 through the air, 7.5 seconds ahead of the rest of the pack, and we do make an even bigger blunder of this corner, this time out with the 918. Fortunately, the AI are still nowhere to be seen, they're not even close behind us, so that error in itself doesn't really give us too much of an issue. We can now work back at that error, get the power back down. We've only lost about 4 seconds to the rest of the pack, so it hasn't actually been too detrimental to our race. As we do go wider, we just managed to keep that back end from spinning round any further, used that wall on the left hand side, stopped us losing more time than we probably should have there. So once again, overconfident driving. We now have an AI on our back, so these mistakes are really starting to cost us. Obviously in the first race we ended up second. In this second race, in the 918, we are still holding first. At this point we know we've got a good section of track or a good section of road coming up ahead. We should really have no problem getting the power down and leaving this pack behind us. The 918, in my opinion, is far better at handling this circuit, this road in particular, than the Veyron itself. Yes, of course, the Veyron's an older car, but I don't think that comes into the equation when we're talking about racing them on an arcade game. The Porsche, for me, the way I drive these cars, it feels 10 times better. The way it handles, the way the power goes down, the way the brakes manage themselves as I do take out another lamppost, another rock face. I just find the 918 far more manageable in these races in particular, and of course that added kicker of that hybrid assist really helps us get the power down. And once again we fast forward to that last freeway section where we can really get the power down in that 918. Very close calls with some walls. We do end up taking out that outer wall, so again it's just the handling model that we do have in this game with the hypercars. In my opinion, the worst section of the game is hypercars. I don't like driving them, I don't enjoy driving them, I don't have fun with them. I prefer the lower class cars, supercars, that Huracan that we've driven so much, down to the TTRS, even the minis. I do prefer the lower class cars. But that might just be me, guys. Let me know if that's a hot take, if you agree or disagree. My personal take is I don't like the handling model of the hypercars. As we do push up to cross the line, we do get unsettled on a little bump in the road, we do take out a wall, but we do manage to cross out first place, and I found it so much better to do that race in the 918, apologies. So overall, a huge race around the map. One big take I do have from it is we are stuck with hypercars. Please, for the love of God game, let us choose the car category that we're going to do these races in. Wouldn't you have loved to have done that race and let's just say an Aventador or a Huracan, maybe the Mini Cooper, John Cooper works, maybe a bit ambitious, some very straight long roads on that one. But what I'm trying to say there is we are so restricted to what class of car we can use. Open it up, let us use what we want to use. But that'll probably wrap it up there for today, guys. I hope you've enjoyed today's video. Please let me know what car you chose for these races, and stay tuned for the next update. Test Drive Unlimited, Solar Crown.